There's a threat in the world today. A threat to our way of living, a threat to our society, and maybe even a threat to our very existence. And what is this threat?
Well, good morning, everybody. When
Wow.
I said 14, I think I meant 44 there.
Yeah.
So we're just
Maybe it is Thanksgiving Day.
We warp speed there, 44 minutes ahead. We apologize.
Yeah.
We are 4 weeks in. We will get with the program here. We'll get it figured out.
Hey, any like podcast guys or IT guys that want to come over and check out our system and see if we're doing something wrong? Maybe I have no explanation of what's going on.
Right. No, I have no idea, obviously, or we wouldn't be a half hour late.
Right.
But hey,
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Top of the morning to you, Tommy boy.
Happy St. Patrick's Day. Howdy.
That's my Irish voice.
Yeah, I don't do a good one either.
Yeah, I mean,
So anyway, hey,
it's like a English redneck voice, something, I don't know.
That's what mine kind of throws into. Ooh.
Oh.
Mine kind of goes into the like Southern Kentucky swing. I don't know exactly. I'm not good with accents. So I'm gonna pull up some notes. I had to reboot the computer. We had some things.
We had all kinds of. I don't know. We had a poltergeist. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, there we go.
JFK did it.
That's an interesting look on things there. But hey, like I said, needless to say, we are on now. Better late than never.
The Paddock's haunted.
The Paddock may be on it. Guys, do you know anything about anything going on here? They're silent.
So we're up and running. Let's get the show on the road.
You think one of these days we'll get these guys to talk?
I don't know.
Maybe.
So
the hauntings of the Paddock. Once
again, welcome to Checkers and Wreckers. Tommy boy, howdy. Let's get into our picks from last week.
BWSports1.com.
BWSports1.com.
They always bring you the latest and greatest, and you got your bar stools, you got your ESPNs. But you know what? Sometimes it's like they're the new MTV of music. There's no music. There's no sports at those things.
Yeah, they don't show any music videos anymore on MTV.
They hardly play any music. But you know what BW Sports 1 does? It's sports.
Yeah.
So check it out, guys. It's definitely something we put a lot of time and effort into, and hope you guys get some enjoyment out of it for sure.
So, with that being said, getting into our Checkers and Wreckers picks from last week.
You ever watch Cousin Sal
No.
pick his football picks?
No.
He does these football picks, and he picks them, and they're always wrong. So usually you pick the opposite. I think that's what people should start doing when I pick my Checkers and Wreckers.
I would have to agree with you on that. You're yeah.
Not doing too hot on these. Let's cover these up here. Let's see what we got.
Lead them out, Tommy boy. Who's your checkers from last week?
Well, my checkers from last week, I think he came with dead last. No fault of his own, though. Had a little engine problems. We'll cover that later. But Ryan Hunter-Ray finished 23rd in that race.
Yeah, somebody let the magic smoke out of that mother.
Is that magic?
Yeah. That's what makes it go fast. It's magic smoke. You can keep it in. Once it escapes the motor, that's when you're done. All right,
Fair
so Hunter-Ray, yeah, not the way he wanted his first race of the season to turn out.
No, I think he bounces back, though. Like I said, it was no fault of his own.
What'd you have NASCAR side?
NASCAR side, I had Chase, and he finished.
Dude.
Yeah, he didn't do too bad, Chase, but let's get a win, okay? Let's get a win. Yeah, he finished in 14th, so not too hot there. And then opposite there, or do you want to cover your?
I'll do my checkers.
Yeah, get your checkers there.
Checkers in IndyCar, I had Scott Dixon, the Iceman. I thought he was going to do it. Close, but no cigar. Finished second. Not too bad for his first race.
He's always going to put it up there.
Yeah. Then NASCAR side, I had Joey Logano, finished 10th. So, top 10 for Logano. The Penske Ford still, up front.
That is a win for the checkers side of your picks there, I'd say.
So let's hear your records.
once again, kind of a flip flop here. Will Power started at the front, and I thought he was going to kind of fall back. I didn't think Penske was going to have a good day in general, and they did. They had a good show.
They had a real good day.
Yeah, pretty hot.
First and third.
Yeah, Will Power got third there. So where Pagano finished, you know?
Was it 12th?
I was gonna say he was up there. I mean, he had not a great day, but
he wasn't. He was the weak link of the Penske team that weekend. That's
I think we're
kind of weird to say.
I think we're gonna see that this year. But, and then my records for NASCAR, Harvick in ninth. I mean, you can consider that a wreck for him. not
still
in class.
top 10.
Yeah, no,
Still top 10.
Not in our world. That's a bad pick for me. Pick him in Vegas opposite, and you'll win.
So on my records, IndyCar, I had Dan the Ass Stevens, favorite driver, Marco, and Polo. But
I'm gonna start doing that. Good, thank you.
he did what I mean, top 15, but still, your teammates besides Hunter Ray blowing the motor. Rossi had a better running than that. Not Brian. I keep wanting to say Brian. Colton Herta had a better run than that. So even the rookie outperformed Marco.
You're showing your age.
Dude, you need to step your game up.
Yeah.
So, and then NASCAR side, Alex Bowman, 35th.
Good calls there. Good calls.
That
And you said top 15, but when you're running 23 cars in a race,
yeah,
top
13.
13.
I'll consider
You're back
your
of the
record.
pack there. Yeah. So, but hey, I did hit this one on our dark horse picks. My IndyCar, Rosenquist.
Yes, Felix Rosenquist. Very, very impressive run for the rookie.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little later. I expect to see big things from that rookie.
Yeah, he
finished at fourth. So
he had the speed. He had the tenacity. He was
just don't think he had
car around the track.
track.
He looked very impressive in his first IndyCar run.
Absolutely.
Who was your dark horse in NASCAR?
Yeah, he didn't do too good either, Bowman. And you hit that on the head there with your pick there. So 35th.
Yeah.
And you go ahead. Your dart didn't stick yet.
No. IndyCar, I had Colton Herta. There again, another rookie in the IndyCar series, and was very impressive. I mean, brought her home to an 8th place finish. So with your first IndyCar race and the streets of St. Pete, bringing her home to an 8th place finish is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
NASCAR, Matthew D. Benedetto let me down again.
Yeah, the dart didn't stick.
No, 28th. Maybe I need to just not pick him anymore the rest of the season. I was expecting bigger things out of him, but it's not looking that way.
The 1 week you don't pick him, you're going to win the race.
Yeah, that'll be
He's going to call in. He's going to say, hey, dude, would you stop picking me? 'Cause I need to get on. I hope he's listening. You never know. So,
all right. So, moving on to this week.
Where are they at this week?
NASCAR is at California Auto Club Speedway.
The 2-mile track.
Yeah.
Truex
200
took it
laps
last year.
Yeah, Truex is the previous race winner.
It seems like you see a lot of the same names that won the races last year. They need Truex. He needs to kind of put something together.
Yeah. I mean, you have guys that they're going to run better at certain tracks and just seem to have that set up and that track down pat. So
it's muscle memory. I mean, a lot of that is.
Well,
you hit your lines, you're on it, and
not necessarily true. You getting a rhythm, and some tracks you can find that rhythm and you just get in a groove and you're comfortable. When you come to that track, you're excited. You're like, okay, this is one of my better tracks. I love racing at this track, and you just get out there and, like I said, you have your notes from last year on car setup, so you kind of feed off that, maybe make a few adjustments here and there, and you go for it. And so I can see Truex running good again at California.
We'll see.
It's a fast track.
Oh yeah, definitely. And kind of going there, Xfinity race yesterday. Not Busch.
Really?
Really? Yeah.
Wow.
He did get second.
Christopher Bell?
No. Cole Custer.
Cole Custer.
Colonel Custer took him out of the top spot there. And it was interesting and fun to see somebody finally take him down, and you know that's got to be fun for him.
Oh yeah.
Because
Oh yeah.
everybody's talking. Did you know Cole Custer before?
Hmm.
You heard the name?
Oh yeah.
You heard the name. Now you know Cole Custer. You know what I'm saying though? Because he beat Busch. I mean, if you watch Xfinity,
if you're a fan of Xfinity series, you know who Cole Custer is. He's not a rookie. He's not a new kid on the block. He's been around, and I think he's actually ran on the Cup side a few times.
right? But if you're watching just Sundays and you're just paying attention to maybe, now you know, and that was a big thing to beat Busch in Xfinity. I think that's he put his name down this season. I think that's going to be a big thing every time Busch gets beat.
Yeah.
I hate saying that, but I mean he's a good driver, and he's obviously, I mean, he's dominant in Xfinity.
So with that being said, talking about Kyle Busch, does his domination stay? Do you see him winning Cup side today and continue to, if you will, dominate throughout the rest of the season?
Throughout the season, yes, but I think, I mean, you strung together so many good races. I mean, probability's not on your side right now. You're going to get caught up in something. Something's going to happen, and it's no fault of your own even. Something's going to happen, and I think today could be that day.
I don't know if I agree with that. I understand, yes, you can have off days and everything, but you know, with Kyle Busch being the caliber of driver that he is, and the Joe Gibbs Racing team, I definitely see him coming away with no less than a top 5 today.
Well, what I'm saying is, if probability says you're going to get behind a wreck, you're going to get tied up. Like I said, no fault. You're going to blow an engine. Something's going to happen. Your guy on pit lane is going to leave that catch can in. You're going to have to go.
Yeah,
back.
you're not going to go out and win every race.
Right.
But
probability is not on your side, and I think that's is going to nip him in the butt. He's a great driver. I mean, he's proving that. Like I said, it's not going to be any fault of his own, I don't think. But I don't think he has what the showing he exactly wants today.
Long term, I think
he does it this year.
I think Kyle Busch wins a championship this year.
I agree. I hate saying that because at first.
What is up, G-Pal?
G-Pal in the house now?
Yes, he is.
G-Pal, I'm excited to meet him and go to the speed drum.
Oh yeah.
So it's
G-Pal's a good dude. I went to high school with him. I've known him for a while.
Really? So yeah. he's I mean, you're proving your age today, so I don't mean to put G-Pal on the spot, but he's up there.
We're both like about 33.
It kind of cracks me up. People always ask me, it's like, hey, that guy you podcast with, is that your dad?
Yeah, I seen somebody post that the other day. Well, you guys look alike. I'm like, and I'm sitting there looking at the pictures like, I don't know.
Two good-looking guys.
Yeah, I mean, we're just you know, average everyday man candy.
Right. But I thought that was hysterical.
We're just two wild and crazy guys.
I keep the hat on because I noticed in the podcast it looks terrible. The camera on me with my balding. So
with the shine.
The hat looks good. Yeah. Exactly.
I was actually gonna get a hold of
get a light right above
like
me.
Mothers or Turtles and see if we could get an endorsement deal for your head, and we'll buff it out every show.
I'd be okay to do that if they wanted to do that.
Maybe put a little pepper juice on there.
No. Guys, I apologize if anybody watches with kids. I took that to a whole different level last week, and that was hot.
Let me tell you, folks, Tommy Boy was struggling.
I'm gonna back it up. Woo!
Yeah, he was struggling.
Wow, that was warm. For the next, I was in about 40 minutes.
Yeah, he was hating life for a good.
That was hot. So, all righty. So back to NASCAR here. So a little controversy in qualifying.
Yeah, I didn't get to see that, but you was telling me about it earlier. Explain what happened.
Yeah,
there.
so I mean, the NASCAR has made it with the rules that you want to be the last guy out there. I mean, it benefits you to be the last guy out there, getting the draft and everything, getting that air. And they didn't get out to make a lap, so they thought everybody took off and they didn't make it around. So they went off the fastest runs the day before, and Austin Dillon takes the pole. So that's about you're going to see a change in qualification in NASCAR, and they asked for it. I mean, this is exactly what they asked for.
Yeah, I mean, I know you when it comes to qualifying, you want to be that last guy out so you can see what everybody else has done and make adjustments and get out there and try to put it on the pole. But, hey, you have a time limit. You know this. So get out there and make your laps.
Yeah, like I said, and Kyle Busch, he was irate. I mean, he's pretty much, and then people are mad at the drivers. They're getting booed. It was not a good thing for NASCAR. They're getting booed,
Yeah.
and
And that's why.
so people are mad at the drivers. But hey, NASCAR created this. The drivers are trying to get up there to make a good show for you to the front.
Yes.
They're going to do what they can to get up there. They all wait at pit lane at the end. Just wait there.
But not to change the subject, that's why I think that NASCAR is on a decline and IndyCar is on a come up.
I completely agree with that. Yeah.
So and it's just things like that with NASCAR, they're going to keep shooting themselves in the foot.
Exactly. The changes they're making for the entertainment value are not really seeming to be good changes. We've talked about the package.
What's up,
before.
Mr. Daniel Stevens, the ass?
We've talked about the race package. We've
Yeah.
talked about things like that they're trying to do to make it more entertaining, but yet we're waiting to see that. I mean, they're not bad races. These guys are, I mean, they're professional drivers. These are good drivers out there. I'm not taking anything out of them.
They are. But you know, with the going the way it's going, maybe, just maybe, we could see like a Kyle Busch come to IndyCar.
Oh,
I'd love to see that.
I could see. Well, I think the money's going to go there too. Advertising, contracts. Yeah, exactly. So
and that's how it was years ago. A lot of your sprint and midget open wheel guys and stuff like that, they come up through the ranks and went to IndyCar. And that's how, because it used to be night before the 500, you go out and watch them. Most of the guys that were running the 500 racing, open wheel sprint cars out the fairgrounds.
Right, absolutely.
And that was, a big draw to IndyCar back then. And
you talk about a loud race.
Oh yeah, but very awesome.
Oh, absolutely.
And so maybe we can get back to that, because now when the kart IndyCar IRL kind of split up thing, that's when NASCAR really gained popularity.
Absolutely.
And
they took full advantage of that thing.
And a lot of your guys that used to race in the open wheel midget sprint cars and whatnot, they started moving to NASCAR instead of going to IndyCar. So maybe we can get some of that back and start getting some of our American drivers back to where, hey, what's your next level? IndyCar. I would love to get it back to that and love to see it again. Will it ever happen? I don't know.
And I know a lot of people aren't a fan of people just coming over for the 500 necessarily, but myself, I mean, being in Indianapolis, going to that race every year, I love to see that. So, I mean, if these guys want to make just a one-run jump, Hendricks, I mean, he's got the pockets. Field a 500 team. Put some of these cars in there.
Well, but and with that being said, there's rumor that Jeff Gordon may take that team over because Rick Hendricks talking about, finally retiring or stepping down and don't really want to run the team and stuff like that anymore. So maybe, him and Jeff Gordon have talked, and I think that would be a great predecessor to take that team.
I mean, completely agree
with all the success that Jeff Gordon had with Hendrick Racing, and I won't say that he built that team, but he did help build some of the success of Hendrick Motorsports. Him and, back when he had Ray Everingham as his crew chief, that was a dynamic duo right there. And then bring Jimmy Johnson into the equation, and Hendrick Motorsports keeps, rolling.
You're going to call it a cheater, but I mean, he helped Canals. He helped him build his career.
We're not going to discuss that today.
But he helped him. He knew him. I mean, that's just another accolade to his resume.
Yeah. Now Hendrick isn't the team of yesteryear anymore.
Right now, I agree.
Right now, yeah, and I just think that's because it's Chevy in general. Chevy's not the dominant car in NASCAR anymore.
They got some things to figure out. They do.
So. Moving on with that, let's since we were talking about IndyCar, let's dip into some IndyCar.
Yeah, the St. Pete race last week. I mean,
pretty good race. I enjoyed it.
Well, I didn't think it was gonna. I didn't think Newgarden was gonna really. I mean, you expect a top 10 out of Newgarden, but out of his practice and his qualifications and stuff like that, I didn't think he was going to be the guy to take the top. So
right, and Dan, on your comment, Mustang taking over. I wouldn't say taking over, but Fords are definitely strong this year. Toyotas are still strong too. I think the Fords and Toyotas have done their homework, and it clearly shows on the track, and that's why Chevy's kind of struggling. Now, maybe on the short tracks, you'll see Chevys running up front just because, you're not basing on aero and raw horsepower. It's, short tracks more how the car's handling and braking and stuff like that, and whether or not the driver's going to stick it in there. But I definitely think Fords are strong this year, and I've said that several times on the past shows, and I continue to say that, even though, like I said, it hurts me to say that being a diehard Chevy guy. But yeah, so IndyCar, St. Pete, I enjoyed the race. I don't know if it was.
I'm gonna catch up. Seeing those cars come down that airstrip, that straightaway. Oh man, that's like, see, Indianapolis 500 is beautiful. Yeah. There's nothing like that. But to catch that race and sit on that straightaway, I think would be a really fun time.
Oh yeah, I would definitely love to go to St. Pete and see that race. I think, from my past in karting and street racing and karting, and then now you see, which it's not new. IndyCar has ran street circuits, but that kind of what's the word I'm looking for here? Not comparison, but similarity almost. Karting on a street circuit and IndyCar on a street circuit. I can appreciate the fact, because street circuits, most of them aren't smooth.
You can see them
jar the crap out of you and beat you to death.
There was a guy in the Indy Lights in St. Pete. I was watching that race, and he got a flat spot on the tire.
Right.
You burn it out, and he's bouncing in this turn, and then come about every third time around that turn, he'd end up just going straight by it. He was just sitting there bouncing. He couldn't get it. He hit that spot on that tire. And, that's another thing about those tracks. You get going down that front stretch into that turn one, you get that flat spot on the tire, man. Woo.
Yeah, and you can definitely, if you flat spot a tire, you definitely feel it when you're driving. It's like
the rest of until you change it.
It's like your tire's out of balance or something, because every time it comes around, it hits that flat spot. It's like a thump, and then you have the rough surface of the street course already. I mean, if you have any fillings, they're probably going to be rattled out by the end of the race.
I could see those guys wearing a mouth. Like,
I'm sure a few of them do wear mouth.
You'd have to. Joseph Newgarden have to. That threw me off, and I hate talking about like that. But if something ever threw me off about a person's look, I was watching him after the race. Like, man, what has changed with him?
He got his teeth done.
Yeah, that just for something so small like that, it threw me off. So he's like, man, he looks completely different. And he had braces. It just threw me off completely.
So, we talked about NASCAR, the Ford and Chevy and Toyota. So in IndyCar now, Chevy is, I wouldn't say dominant, but they definitely run strong, and they were running strong at St. Pete. The Penske Chevys were 1-3, Newgarden and Willpower. And then you had Scott Dixon in second, which Ganassi Chevy, aren't they? Or are they Honda?
So. No, let me check.
I think Ganassi is Chevy too. And I know Andretti is Honda. But and how we discussed earlier, Ryan Hunter-Reay, lost the magic smoke. Does this bring up reliability concerns for Honda this year in IndyCar?
Anytime you see that smoke come out, that's a question that gets raised. Like,
especially on a first race. A team
right.
like Andretti and Ryan Hunter-Reay, which he's usually pretty good at taking care of the car and bringing it home.
Yeah, and I work in the parts industry, and I hate saying this, but I think, and this is what I tell people, unfortunately, you have your Monday morning parts that go down the line, and unfortunately you got your Friday afternoon parts that go down the line.
Right.
And the guy that's getting paid little to do those things is ready to
5 o'clock on Friday, and he's ready to go home. Guess what? Yeah, that's good.
Exactly. So that could have been, I mean, it wasn't consistent in the race. So if another Honda another Honda didn't blow, did it? I mean, we didn't see any.
I don't think so.
I didn't think. Yeah. So,
I don't think so.
Marco's issue was just he didn't plug something in during his qualification, so that was all on his crew's fault. So Marco.
It's Marco.
Polo. I like that. I'm gonna start doing that every time. So.
Pepe Le Pew.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if you can really claim reliability issues yet, and especially after we go we go talking about what Honda just did last night, or today, however you want to look at it, in F1. Exactly. So
we'll get into that later.
Right, but I think it kind of goes hand in hand. I mean, they're not coming from the same factory, anything like that, but they're coming from the same manufacturer.
Well, and different engines too. They're not the same engines.
Right, but but like I say, it's the same standard of excellence or standard of quality, if you will, to a certain extent. So
right. And
I don't think you can claim it yet. But we'll keep an eye on it for sure.
So St. Pete, all in all, good race. It was good to see IndyCars back on the track again and be able to turn the TV up and really hear them rip and roar. And they're off this weekend, but next weekend, where they at?
You're shaking your leg. I'm going to let you tell him.
I'm excited.
He's about to jump off of the chair here.
They're at COTA, Circuit of the Americas, and this will be the first time for IndyCar at COTA, which is a track that was built specifically for Formula One in America. Even though we've had a couple before, but anyways, I'm super excited to see the Indy cars at COTA. Yeah, I think it's an awesome facility.
It's going to be a fun race for sure. I mean, they're coming off a great race in St. Pete. I mean, the guys had a great running. I think it was a competitive race. They spread out. Yeah. So I'd like to see a little more packed, but you're going to get that with the road courses.
I think you will see your guys with a little F1 background, running series, building up to F1 or have been in F1 and come to IndyCar. I think you see those guys really shine in that race because they're used to running the big track. I don't remember how long COTA is, 10.9 million miles or something like that. It's a big track. Fast track, a lot of technical turns. It's just an awesome facility, and I think we're going to see a great IndyCar race next Sunday, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, anytime those cars get on the track, it's a fun time. But like I said, I think this year, last week showed it.
G-Pal, are you talking about what state COTA is in? COTA is in Austin. I know it's in Texas, but I believe it's Austin, Texas, is where COTA is. So that's what your question was.
I think it's going to be a real competitive year, though.
I do too.
You got the two. You got Herta. You got Rosenquist. They're going to be battling for Rookie of the Year. Yeah. There's no question on that.
Oh yeah.
And then you throw in the Dixons, the Newgarden. I mean, he was in a interview and he's talking about, like we talked about. I think it was our first show. He's revving up for another championship.
Oh yeah.
And this is the guy that has not won a 500. They used to say they're revving up for a 500.
Right.
Now he's revving up for a championship.
Now, and going back here and touching a little bit on St. Pete, you had posted an article about Felix Rosenquist.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Explain that, because I found it absolutely incredible that this kid did this.
So by no means am I a doctor. But if you take a look at our page there's a article I did post about Rosenquist. I think it was like the second half, it said. Is that right? The second half of the race. He pinched a nerve somehow in his left arm. So he is driving this car. He has no feeling in his left arm. He's swinging that around. He can't turn. One-handed.
For the second half of the race.
He has no feeling. He can't turn. It's not like the steering wheel. You're sitting with a car, and it's sitting on top.
Right.
You're on the side. Like, you have to fully grip that thing. He can't grip it. He's shifting. Now, he can't feel what he's doing. He had a shift with it. But he's steering that thing in a road course one-handed. You do that in an oval, it's impressive. You do that in a road course, dude, wow.
Well, here's what I really find impressive. You take a veteran and he does that, yes, it's impressive. Now you're taking a rookie, his first IndyCar race, running, mind you, top 5 all day.
All day.
And this happens, and he still goes out there and brings it home in, what, 4th of where he finished?
Yeah, that doesn't happen. He's on the podium for sure if that doesn't happen.
Sir, you have gained a fan with me on that.
I bet you Scott Dixon gave him a little pat on the ass.
Oh, why wouldn't you? I mean,
hey, dude, good job.
And you have a great mentor, teammate in Scott Dixon.
Absolutely. Watch out, guys. Ganassi, pay this guy some money because Penske's going to be coming for him. That's a fact right there.
I don't see him leaving
No,
Ganassi.
I know. If he goes anywhere, it's F1, and I hope he doesn't, because I think he's got a great future in this sport. I can't wait to see him on an oval.
IndyCar, because like we
see him on an oval
earlier with IndyCar growing. I think that's the spot he wants to be.
He was an F1. He's always said he did want to do F1. So, like I said, I mean, you put a guy that wanted to do F1, he's done that his whole life. You put him on an oval, it could be a lot different. So let's see him on an oval. Let's see how he throws it around.
True story. But
looking at him from last week, I don't think he's going to have a problem.
At the same time, though, thinking, he's in IndyCar with a team like Ganassi. Now, say an F1 team does come knocking on the door.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to go to F1 with just any team, or are you gonna wait, and if it's not a top tier team, stay with Ganassi and IndyCar?
No, you have to have the Mercedes, you have to have the Ferrari.
I say I'm not leaving Ganassi to go to F1 unless it's Mercedes, Ferrari, or Red Bull knocking at my door.
Yeah, that really is. If it's not the top two, it's like, yeah. I mean, in the situation he's in. The only reason I say not Red Bull necessarily is because it's uncertain right now with their switch.
Hey, Scott. Hey, Jim. Welcome to the show.
Hello, guys.
Now, going on here, did you see where and I have to laugh before I say this because it just, to me, kind of sums up this guy.
I know what you're saying because off my notes here, I was laughing at the same thing.
So, Roger Penske has stated desire for all full-time IndyCar teams to get locked-in spots for the Indy 500. What?
Right. So, because you have money, I guess, is that what you're saying? Because just because somebody's going to come in for the biggest race of the year, for the biggest race of motorsports.
For IndyCar, definitely. That is their Taj Mahal race.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, IndyCar, it's Indy 500. Formula One, it's Monaco. NASCAR, it's Daytona 500.
Don't complain because you can't.
It's U.S. Nationals.
Right. Don't complain because you can't make it against a guy coming out here for one race.
Right.
You got a problem there, buddy.
And that has happened.
It has.
I don't remember what year it was, but, I'm sure some of the older people like myself remember the year that Penske didn't make the field at the 500.
Well, I did
not have a car in the field.
I don't know if you can see him on the video, but my bobblehead up here, Mr. Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
He wasn't in it last year.
Mayor of Hinchtown.
Mayor of Hinchtown, that is correct. He didn't make it last year. Full-time driver. And they're trying to pull all these strings to talk about getting him in. I think that was ridiculous. I was like, yeah, he's a top guy of the sport. He's a face of the sport. It's very unfortunate, but hey, in the old saying, that's the way the cookie crumbles, dude. Get a faster car. Don't mess up when you're out there. If something breaks, it breaks. I'm sorry.
It shouldn't matter if you run the whole season or one race. Racing is about having the fastest cars on the track to make the field. So if your cars can't get in the show, sorry about you.
Exactly.
I mean, you better do your homework and step your game up for next year then.
Right.
I mean, like you said, Hinchcliffe didn't make the show last year. Yeah, it sucks.
Oh, yeah.
And if you have sponsors, you're letting the sponsors down. You're letting your team down. You're letting a lot of people down. But I strongly disagree with a full-time team having a locked-in spot for the Indy 500. It's no different than what they're doing to kids nowadays. And you go out and compete and say basketball or baseball or whatever. Hey, here's a participation trophy. No, I disagree with that. You work hard and do the best you can. And at the end of the day, if your car didn't make the show, hey, you gave it everything you had.
Right. And Daniel just asked the question, how would you feel if like Hinchcliffe last year, they were talking about Wickens possibly stepping out of his car. Thank God he didn't do that for Hinch. So he could drive because it was the cars that qualified.
I don't agree with that either. I don't agree with that.
Now, if the driver gets sick, if he cannot compete, that's one thing.
Fine.
But just for somebody to step out of the car, no, screw that. No, sorry.
But
that's crazy.
What's to say? A team. Let's take. Okay, we'll take Ganassi for instance. Dixon and Rosenquist. So the 500. Rosenquist qualifies, Dixon doesn't. what's to say that suddenly race day, Felix Rosenquist has severe flu and cannot drive the car, so they're going to put Dixon in the car.
I mean, at that point, it looks suspicious, but you can't. There's nothing. You can't tell a guy, hey, you got to go in there if you got the flu.
Right.
So I guess get a doctor's note.
Right.
give me a doctor's note.
Right.
I'm gonna sound like corporate America. Give me a doctor's note. So. But hey, I mean, seriously though, I mean, those sponsors, they came for Dixon. They came for Rosenquist for the most part. They didn't. I mean, Ganassi helped with that. Don't get me wrong. But the reason Napa puts their name on these guys is because this guy's popular. He sells. This guy's popular. He sells.
Because his last name's Elliott.
Oh, I mean, he wins. They win. They sell. They don't want another driver in that car. He's like, yeah, the car goes around the track. But, I mean, at the end of the day, you could have a really fast car, but if you got a backup driver that's not top tier, it's not going to perform as good as it did with the guy in there. So, I don't know. That's my 2 cents on that.